if it's not for comedy, I try to not go over there because I just don't want to deal with it.
What's the most you've been hassled over there?
I mean, it's never like really that bad. Like I think I just make it bigger, but it does suck. It sucks to have to pull in, and then you have to go like wait in this little like waiting room while they tear your car apart.
Wait, you've had that happen before?
Yeah. You've never had that happen? I felt
No.
like that's just like a common Detroiter like experience. Yeah, they've torn. Yeah, like they had me pull over. I had to go into this little like waiting room with like 12 other people whose cars were being searched, and I had to sit there for like an hour and a half because like they had like 5 cars in front of me that they had to go through, and then they just like tear your car apart looking for like drugs and weapons and all kinds of and I would also assume just like regular products that you're supposed to claim. You know what I mean? Like you bought something in Canada and you have to claim it because you have to pay tax on it to bring it over, unless you bought it from duty free.
And is it when you're going into Canada or coming back that they do this?
I think it's so like going if you're a U.S. citizen. You mean like just the search, or you mean like
Yeah, like when you've been searched.
the search is always coming back. Canada's never searched me. It's always been the U.S. that's searched me. This was definitely the most intense one, though. And the funny thing about it, though, is the the gym bag that I use when I go to the bathhouse was in my trunk, and they went through the bag. So there was a lot of like gay sex paraphernalia that they had to kind of dig through.
Did that feel good?
It did. It did. It was like, yeah, you're gonna search me for no reason. You're gonna have to handle some dildos, dildos and butt plugs.
Did they put it back correctly?
I mean, they didn't like empty the bag out, but they had to like burrow through it. So they definitely had to like push dildos aside and like jock straps and stuff.
I love that, burrowing through dildos and jock straps.
But yeah, they were like looking for things that were either illegal or that they could tax me on, is what they're doing when they do that. Unless, like I said, you go to duty free and you like buy stuff there, which that is also a fun, like the duty free thing is a fun thing to me.
What is your favorite part?
Well, I mean, just like the concept of duty free itself is kind of funny, because it's like you're like, so it's this like gray area where there's kind of like no jurisdiction when you're on the border. So they like kind of technically can't tax you. And I'm probably getting this way wrong. I have not looked into why this is, but like my guess is that it's more trouble than it's worth to like establish rules. You know what I mean? Because you're dealing with 2 governments instead of 1 to like establish rules like right on the border. So it feels kind of like they're just like, all right, just move along, just like do what you got to do and move. You know what I mean? But like essentially you're buying things tax free. Again, I don't know the origins. This is just like my assumption.
And it's the same as the airport one, right? No?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the same. It's it's like the same thing. But like the really interesting thing though is there are people who will cross the border not to visit the other country, but to go to duty free, like to just purchase things tax free from duty free. Like they go through all of that trouble just so that they can buy something that does not have like sales tax on it.
And it costs like $12,
Yeah,
right? To go.
It's $6 toll both ways, so it's $12 total. $12 total to go, into the opposite country, and then to come back to your country. So like the amount that you're paying in toll is probably double whatever you would have paid in tax.
Oh,
You know, and it's just it's very funny. Like I like I I never really like thought about it until recently, because like I had shows in Canada last summer. Like I had a few weekends in a row of like shows in Canada last summer. And so like I had a few weekends in a row of stopping at the duty free back into the US to exchange money. And it was like I think it was like 3 times or maybe 2 times, I can't remember. And both times or all 3 times, I can't remember now how many times it was, there were one of the times there was a single man, I would say probably in his 40s. And the other times there were families. So, and the families could have been like mom, dad, kids, mom, dad, grandparents. You know, like the combinations were wide. It wasn't just like mom, dad, kids. That wasn't just the combination. Um, and like the biggest thing that I noticed from this, number one, it was always like immigrant families.